back to our channel.
Yebo.
Is it mine or our channel?
It's yours. I'm just a regular feature.
It's our channel, guys. I think we need to make it official that it's our channel. Welcome back to our channel, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to all of those that have subscribed so far. Thank you so much for the love that we're receiving on social media. We are so grateful for all the love that you guys are giving us. And we have reached 4,000 subscribers in 2 weeks, guys. We are on and the entire standing ovation. We are so happy, guys, that we've reached 4,000K in only 2 weeks. So guys, please continue to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button below so that you can get notifications when we post a video. So without further ado, my name is Babalwa Ndluana, and we've got
Drum roll!
the one, the only, Mr. Patricia himself. Today we are going to be feasting on a very interesting topic, a rather controversial one, that I call Vat En Sit, and Uzola calls it a Western kind of version.
We moved in together. Why do you have to give this negative connotation to it?
I feel like I am a closer girl, and I'm traditional in that sense. And to me, it is Vat En Sit. There's no prettier version of it besides that. I call it Vat En Sit. Uklalisana. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So a lot of people have been asking us. Actually, before even asking, they initially thought that we were married because we live together and we are in such a home and stable environment. And they were quite surprised when we got engaged because a lot of people used to refer to me as my husband, Abeteta Mozola. So before going into detail, I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
What did you think about moving in together before we moved in together? Well, from my point of view, I thought that I would never live with a man before ndichate kunye naye. I was completely against uklalisana before we moved in together. Because first of all, when you move in with a man in my culture, it's like uyozenza umfazi before uchate. Secondly, considering that it's like a big deal, I was very scared at what people are going to think about me ekhaya because andikachati nalo mntu. Simuva in together. Ne? That's the second thing, the judgment. The third thing was the fact that when you move in with umntu, senichadile kaloku babes. And when you move in together, there is no pressure I felt from a guy's perspective to seal the deal ngomtshado because you have already given him everything. Uyamphekela, umbasela impahla, mondlulela ibhedi, wenza yonke into. Like you basically do everything for him. So I felt as though if I move in with this guy, he'll never marry me anytime soon.
I think for me, the society, like most African people, where individual are things that are frowned upon. But for me, it's not really something that I saw in the negative light, to be quite honest with you. For me, I think the most important thing, a good relationship and what you guys decide to do with it, is the commitment towards each other. I'm a person of substance, not of form. I'm not interested in how we look. I'm interested in how we are. So I knew what it is that I wanted out of this. And I knew that the only way to achieve it was if we move in together and be a family. And there's no requirement anyway that I know of that says a family, there must be a marriage certificate. Family is a relationship of commitment towards each other. So I was committed to you when I said, you know what, this is our situation. Let's move in together. And obviously, coming from a patriarchal society, uklalisana it's not something that is really frowned upon kakhulu from a guy's point of view, because of obviously male privilege in society. No one is going to go around speaking negatively of me because I'm a male, and unfortunately that's how our society is structured. It's made up. We are privileged. We are able to get away with a lot of things as amajita. But obviously ngicingela kuwe ba abantu bakokwenu bazawuthini, abazali bakho bazawuthini, because obviously they're not in my shoes, they're not in my mind, they don't know me. They don't know what my commitments are and what my plans are now. And that was my only concern. Ekhaya, obviously, as I said, male privileged. I don't think
it was a big deal.
It was a big deal, but okay, now you're living with this girl. So I don't, in my view, I don't look at it as something that's negative. I think it's something that makes economic sense sometimes and logistical sense when you both committed to each other, and if we are paying 20,000 rand rent where we can move in together and pay 10,000. That doesn't make sense to me economically. Why you must live on your own and I must live on my own? Do you understand what I'm saying? And the fact that you have an apartment, I have an apartment, but we spend most of our time in one apartment. The other one is 40 or 60% of the time vacant. What's the point? So yeah.
Okay, that's a very interesting response considering the fact that you are a very traditional Xhosa guy. I would rather think that you beg to differ, but now that you've said that, it's quite interesting.
I just feel being a Xhosa traditional man, whatever. I mean, there are certain things in our culture that were much relevant 40 years ago.
That's true.
That are really impractical today.
That's very, very true.
Because, for example, you and I, let me get into our scenario, right? We live in the same block of apartments.
Yeah.
You live in your own apartment, I live in my own. Literally 3 minutes away from each other.
Not even 3 minutes.
Yeah, you're paying a mulsa lot of money in your apartment. I'm paying a mulsa lot of money in my apartment. But you're never in yours, right? You're always in mine because we're spending so much time together. Does that make sense economically in terms of don't you think moving in with me and we utilize the amount of money that you are paying for rent, put it aside and use it to something useful that is going to help us as a couple to progress?
I agree.
So for me, it was because when you fell pregnant, right, it just didn't make sense that you're gonna live there and I live here. But here we are facing a situation where we are bringing a life into this world. We need to have money in order to be able to take care of this. So it just makes more.
It makes more sense for you. Okay, cool.
For couples, not just for me. I think in the time that we live in now, I think it makes economic sense.
Okay.
Unless which is a different scenario.
Yeah, it is
altogether.
a different scenario.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a completely different scenario if people, ababukele that are watching this video now, are out there living komakwabo.
Yeah.
And then they are thinking about settling and moving in together. It's a completely different.
It's a different scenario. I think it depends. I think the answer is whether or not right or right. It just depends.
Yeah. At what point did you think that it's time for me to move in with this person?
For me, after a couple of months,
why?
I realized that we were spending so much time together.
Okay.
Right? In one place. And the other place was just empty.
Yeah.
So, and then I think after you fall pregnant, it was like,
why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not move in together and do this life thing together? Because equally just to build a family, right? And I've always told myself, the same when I start a family, I want my kids here. I want to raise my kids from the word go, up until they're old enough to stand on their own. I don't want to miss a single moment where I don't live with my kids. Yeah. So when you fell pregnant, I was like,
why not?
Why not? And I didn't see how we can't be a family because we're not married. Like it's all about substance. What's in the relationship? How are we? You know. So that for me is the most important thing, as opposed to how we look to be, like what form of the relationship.
How you appear to be, like in the eyes of other people. So I think for me, to answer that question, I feel like you schooled me a lot in the sense that you came from a view that I did not expect of, it's not just about Vat En Sit, it's not just you moving in with me, but there was a bigger reason behind your thought process, and it made so much sense for us to move in together. Because like you said, izinto zakudala, they are not necessarily applicable now. There's a lot of things that are flawed, principles that are flawed that we grow up with in our homes, and those things are instilled by our parents for us to think a certain way and to behave a certain way. And from my background, ekhaya into yohlalisana, it's like a complete no-go zone. And when you came to me and told me that you do not want to miss a single moment away from umntanakho, to me
Just
it made
because
so
I'm not
much
married.
sense. It made so much sense, because I was like, I don't want to have to go visit my partner for bayobona umntana, for siyochitha ixesha.
But we in a relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like as a man, responsibility starts when someone tells you I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when the responsibility kicks in for you to be a father. If you want to be a father to your child when they're born, you're too late, right? You need to preserve and help umama ngala life to formulate la life of sweet. You need to be there when she's feeling weird at night. You need to be there when you're going for checkups. You need to understand. You need to be part of the whole process. And it's easy when she's here. You know, we're sleeping together to do all of that. And now, just because I'm not married to her, I can't enjoy those privileges at the expense of my unborn child. Yeah. To satisfy Abazali and the world.
Yeah.
And I think obviously we always have to respect views of abadala and the rationale behind why these principles are there. It's all about respect. You can't just take umntana omnyumzi okhuliswe kakuhle ngendlela ethile and bring them to your home to build a family for yourself and contribute to kokwenu ezindoda without showing respect and creating that unity between the two families. That's the principle. You need to uyomcela umuntu ngokwabo, and that's why you can't move in with someone. Right.
If you haven't done that.
So obviously because of the reasons that I've highlighted. You need to do it with the sense of respect also. Make sure that you have a plan to rectify that as soon as possible. So my plan was to obviously who is here to disrespect. So it's also how you do it and what you say to your parents.
That's true.
And you explain to your parents about this is the situation that we find ourselves in.
Talking about parents, because khona abazali aba-strict, aba very traditional, aba backwards, that are not like, no, I don't want to say backwards. I feel like that's a negative connotation to use. But that are still very traditional. And so there are no platforms in every household to have these kinds of conversations. So what would you say, like what advice would you give to abantu that are in that kind of situation?
I think when you find yourself in that situation where you're doing something that your parents don't approve or don't understand, the obligation is on you as a child, right? To try and create that platform to talk nabazali bakho and educate them, right? And if they don't understand, they don't understand. At the end of the day, bobomi bakho. Unfortunately,
that's true.
You can't live your life for your parents. You need to live your life for yourself. That is, if you know what you're doing and you feel that it's right, even if it goes wrong at the end of the day, it's life. And that's how we learn. We do things right at the end of the day. It's just like, we learn from it. So if your parents are not, I will say, matured enough, ironically, to understand why you do what you do, if you do it with respect, then the problem is with them. At the end of the day, and you need to do what is good for yourself and your future.
I feel like a lot of parents want to live through their children in most cases. that's when the conversation becomes difficult. When you reach a certain point in your life and age where you feel like you want to pursue or do things in the way that you think makes sense.
Yeah.
And then some parents are just like, they do not tolerate that.
Yeah.
They want you to do things the way that
Yeah.
they want you to.
So, but you just need to have a valid reason. And if you have a reason, there's no, like, don't be ashamed about bandos or teen and whatever. That never works for anyone. People are going to talk anyway. So just do what works for you. For us, it worked. Well, it's still working. Look at us now. We've got 2 kids. We are about to get married soon, but coronavirus
Oh, damn.
spoiled everything. So if you have a why, a reason, a valid reason why you're moving in with each other. I call it moving in.
Yeah.
But sounds.
I still call it ukhlalsana because
if you want to do it with your partner, talk about it. Talk to your parents, very important. And then do it.
Yeah.
You'll save a lot of money. For me, you concern.
It's finance.
It's badali two. Why so badali two when we can pay one? It just doesn't make sense.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I would do it again and again and again and again. I don't regret it again.
But anyway, going back to Indoyo Salisana, we've spoken about before we moved in together. How did you feel then when you finally did? What are the pros and the cons that you've experienced about it? Like,
I think the advantages of hlala nomuntu wakho, it's you get to see them every day. You get to spend time with them every day, but that's not always a good thing. Because sometimes yeah, and sometimes you just
you're like,
you just wanna sit alone and spend time with yourself, sitting. But I've gotten used to it now. Like you'll be sitting, like focusing on something. Like let's say you're spending your time and you're watching a movie. Yeah, I feel about. She doesn't get like I'm in. That time you're so focused on what you're doing.
I get so annoyed, guys.
So I'm like, your time is gone at the window, right? And the second thing is being told what to do.
So those are the cons.
Those are the negative, like all the time, like do this, wash the dishes now. Sometimes I just don't feel like washing the dishes now because when you live alone, like if you don't feel like doing it now, you can do it some other times. And obviously the positive is like you get to spend time with the person that you love. You get to eat proper meals every day.
Wow.
And really mentally, you can hit it anytime you want.
Oh God. Wow.
So that's also any benefit, guys. Yeah, not get I also go by any time. I got into about query Uber or requesting Uber or phone, everything.
Jesus Christ. So for me, the negatives, obviously, because I'm a girl and I grew up in a household with so many girls, like everything needs to be spick and span, babes. Like
clean.
So for me, it was such a huge adjustment because I've never lived with a guy, and guys are messy. They leave like things laying
that's
around.
Not true.
It's
not
true.
all guys.
Baba, guys are
very
just
fluid generalization.
okay. Most guys can.
I'm clean. Very clean.
When you're in the mood to be clean, you are clean.
When I'm not.
You will take your socks off, like he'll take his shoes off as she franti. Oh, guys,
there's something therapeutic about
that's what
taking off your jacket and just.
Secondly, I'm a talkative person.
So am I.
And he gets like so annoyed. And
I've got my off time.
I'm just like, abe sefonini yakhe abe bukele sport or whatever, and I'm just like, wow, ndifuna ukuncokola nawe. So those were the annoying and negative things. The positive is that like, I get cuddles all the time. Guys, I love cuddling, so like I can cuddle and I can get to know him before we finally tie the knot.
Yeah.
Like understand the kind of person that he is, see him when he's angry. You can't know.
Yeah. Isn't it risky getting married with someone you haven't lived with? Hey.
See them when they are angry, see them when they're frustrated, when they're stressed, when they're happy. You need to see everything so that when you make that decision of saying I do, you know that you know what you're signing up for. Like if you can't live with someone, then what is the point of getting married? My biggest fear is marrying someone that you do not know enough.
So are you recommending that
I definitely am recommending it. Before, I think to close the topic, I had a very prejudiced point of view about moving in together. But now that I've lived through it and I've had the reasoning that I had in mind when I did it.
You're out here advocating for Tanzania.
And you belong to Kubo in any case anymore. So
yes. So
having said that, I agree with them. Stop it, you can't kiss me on camera. That's so awkward. Anyway, I definitely am for it. I was really much against it, but I am for it now. Kaloku needs our data, and then we move it in together.
And why you moving in with a guy who amas by internet?
Oh, you
understand? So enjoy his benefits, enjoy his benefits, but Suga, I'm going to look to
wow.
Again, look to
Yeah. Very difficult one.
Let's give it a new name. You move in together. No, Vat En Sit also sounds bad.
Vat En Sit, anyway, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today's video. We hope that our opinions and our point of views and experience were helpful for those that are asking themselves at this point in time as a couple, is it the right time for us to move in together? Why should we move in together? I hope that we were able to help by sharing our experiences and our advice. And thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe so that you tune into our next video that is coming soon. Much love from the Mkatiso household. Mwah! Mwah!